everybody. Welcome to the PT on Ice Daily Show. It is Friday, meaning it is Fitness Athlete Friday. I'm excited to be with you today as your host, Dr. Zach Long. I'm lead faculty inside of our Fitness Athlete division at ICE, teaching our Clinical Management of the Fitness Athlete live as well as advanced concepts courses with Mitch Babcock. So today I'm excited to talk to you about what we feel like some of the best apps to have if you're going to be treating fitness athletes. What are the best apps that you should have on your phone or your iPad or whatever smartphone device you use that will help improve your outcomes with this specific patient population? So make sure you download these later because they're really fantastic tools. So we're going to start, I'm going to kind of go in order of the apps that I use the most here. And so what I'm going to use the most in the clinic is the app Huddle, H-U-D-L. There are a couple different versions of it. I'm talking about their Technique version, Huddle Technique, or you could use CoachEye. So CoachEye and Huddle basically do the same thing. They're video analysis, movement analysis apps. So you can take a video, go in slow motion, draw up lines, compare two videos side by side. So maybe you're comparing somebody a month ago to where they are now in terms of their mobility or their ability to perform a movement. Or you're comparing somebody to a different athlete that has really good form. And then you can also do voiceovers. So as you're editing this, you can record what you're saying and then send that off to an athlete. So I use Huddle and CoachEye quite a bit. They're fantastic apps. They get a lot of buy-in from my athletes. I use it for Olympic lifting analysis. I use it for gymnastics analysis. I use it a lot when I'm doing run form assessments with athletes. So it is a fantastic app, and I would definitely make sure that you have one of these two on your phone. We talk a lot in our advanced concepts in the clinical management of the fitness athlete course about those two apps, and we kind of go in depth on how to use those to analyze the Olympic lifts and the gymnastics movements, because we know that's a great way to create buy-in with the fitness athlete. When you can actually show them that you understand in depth the biomechanics and technique of the snatch, you're going to get a ton of buy-in from those athletes. So we talk about that a lot in the advanced concepts course, which, by the way, is kicking off in 3 days. So July 12th, we start our next cohort. We still have some spots in there. So head to ptonice.com to get signed up for that course. Another app that we use with this patient population quite a bit is the app IronPath. There are a couple others. There's another one called Kilo Lift, K-E-E-L-O, but I prefer IronPath. I found it to be the most user-friendly, the most reliable. IronPath, essentially, if I'm looking at a weightlifter from the side, I can select where the bar is and then press go. And what will happen is over the course of this video, this app will actually track the bar path, which is a really cool way of actually getting some insight into somebody's technique and performance on the lifts by tracking their bar path. And again, it's just another one of those apps that really easily gets a lot of buy-in from fitness athletes. So I would recommend downloading that. A lot of times I'll take a video, let's say I'm looking at CrossFitters clean, and I will put their clean video through IronPath and then import it into Huddle. And so now I have the bar path and I can draw my own lines on different things and I can record my voiceover. That combination really sets you apart as a treating clinician if you can break down those movements to the depth that those two apps will allow you to do it. The next app that I probably recommend the most, this is not one that I'm regularly using in the clinic, but I'm regularly recommending it to my athletes, is MyFitnessPal. So MyFitnessPal is a great app for tracking nutrition intake, how much food somebody's eating. And so one thing that we talk about a lot in the clinical management of the fitness athlete curriculum is how often our patients are not fueling their body appropriately. They're not getting enough protein, or they're wondering why they're not gaining weight or losing weight or whatever that is. And we're not necessarily saying that you need to go in and write custom meal plans, but I think so many athletes don't realize where they are nutritionally because they've never tracked it. And so I think recommending that some of your athletes get on something like MyFitnessPal and actually tracking their nutrition for a period of time is incredibly helpful. And I'll say personally, the more I've done this, the more I've just become aware of for such a long time when I wasn't tracking protein intake, how easy it is for me to get below the recommended guidelines for how much protein I should be taking in as somebody that is doing regular resistance training and high intensity interval training. So even somebody that understands the science behind how much of that we need, you're going to miss it if you're not tracking it. So I'd recommend looking at MyFitnessPal for a lot of your athletes. We also regularly recommend Whoop an HRV for training. So there are a number of different applications and software, hardware to track heart rate variability that's currently available. And we've talked about this a lot in the podcast. In the past, we've talked about it in virtual ICEs. We've talked about it in clinical management of the fitness athlete curriculum. But heart rate variability is this awesome measurement of your autonomic nervous system's recovery. And so at times you're going to be pushing harder, and having insight into what your heart rate variability is telling you could tell you when you should push harder in your training, when you need to focus more on recovery, things like that. It's just this great internal assessment of overall stressors on the body. And it's been correlated with a number of different things, from college students' academic performance to athletes' sports performance to your sleep to your nutrition. It's such a great insight that we believe the research is pointing towards. If you're tracking things like heart rate variability, you can do a better job prescribing exercise for your athletes to push them or pull them back based on what their body's saying, and then actually start getting ahead of injuries and trying to reduce the number of injuries that people see while simultaneously maximizing their performance. So start looking into heart rate variability. I also think from a personal perspective, when I really started using Whoop, I found that the more I use Whoop, the more I started to recognize what my body responds to both positively and negatively in terms of lifestyle factors that really help out my recovery and allow me to push it harder in the gym and not be as mentally fatigued as well. So from a personal perspective, I would recommend you checking out something to track your heart rate variability as well. Next app, WOD Timer. So WOD Timer, it seems really simple to create an app that would have the ability to do, AMRAPs and rounds for time and EMOMs and Tabatas. But realistically, I've downloaded a ton of different apps for CrossFit style workouts to use as timers. And in my clinic at Onward Charlotte, we're doing rehab EMOMs. Shout out to Mitch Babcock for that. We're doing AMRAPs. We're doing different time intensity loading in our physical therapy protocols there for exercise. And so having a timer that gives us the ability to easily create different workouts is incredibly helpful. But it's shocking how bad so many of these timers that you'll find in like the iPhone App Store are in terms of their ability to customize and actually do what you want. And WOD Timer, to me, by far, has been the best timer I've been able to find on the market. And I use that almost daily. So fantastic app. Then the same company also came out with another app that I really think is worth looking at, and that is WOD Generator. So WOD Generator is one that I regularly recommend to my patients, especially if they're traveling a lot, if they go into hotel gyms. It's really easy, and I'm very guilty of this myself, when we program workouts to only program to our strengths and ignore our weaknesses. And so, if I'm writing a program, you're almost never going to see burpees show up because I don't enjoy doing burpees. That as a taller athlete, I'm also slower at them and not as good as some other people are that are a little less vertical height-wise. So I'm going to avoid that movement a little bit too much, and that's going to create a hole in my fitness. And so I tend to personally not like to program CrossFit WODs for myself because I know I'm going to cherry pick. And so having this WOD Generator app is nice because essentially you go into this app and you select what equipment you have. And then it has, maybe 1,000 workouts in this app's database. It goes through all those workouts for you and shows you what workouts it has that can be done with the equipment that you have. And so it's a really easy way to get some really good workouts in based on the equipment that you have, and avoid programming for yourself if you know you're like me and you're going to cherry pick workouts and you're going to avoid doing certain movements because you simply don't like them. So check out WOD Generator. I think it's also a great app to use if you're maybe looking at doing some more active stuff rehab-wise in the clinic. You can go in and start doing these, use the WOD Generator, and then scale it for your athletes that are actually coming into the clinic. So I hope you enjoy this episode. I hope that gave you some good ideas for some different apps that you need to check out. As always, if you have requests for future episodes, reach out to us, and we look forward to seeing you in upcoming courses. Check those out at ptonice.com. Have a great day, everybody.
Hey, thanks for tuning in to the PT on Ice Daily Show. If you enjoyed this content, head on over to iTunes and leave us a review. And be sure to check us out on Facebook and Instagram at the Institute of Clinical Excellence. If you're interested in getting plugged into more ICE content on a weekly basis while earning CEUs from home, check out our virtual ICE online mentorship program at ptonice.com. While you're there, sign up for our Hump Day Hustling newsletter for a free email every Wednesday morning with our top 5 research articles and social media posts that we think are worth reading. Head over to ptonice.com and scroll to the bottom of the page to sign up.